Buzz's Retirement Garage. What I wish I knew before retiring. Are there some things that I wish I knew? Yeah, there's probably a few, but they're not bad. But I'll go through maybe 2, 3 of them. And yes, I'm going to be pushing out a video almost every day because the algorithm is not pushing my stuff out to people who are not subscribed. So I'm going to throw out some videos. Matter of fact, if you subscribe, if you're not a subscriber and you do subscribe today, we'll be doing Fort Hill, which is just a staircase near the Rocky River. We're going to try to walk that since I got my knee injection the other day. And we're going to do the B.A. Sweeties candy store. And I mean candy warehouse. If you know anything about B.A. Sweeties, you walk in there and it smells like sugar. So we're gonna do we'll do a little video from there. So subscribe and check that out. But anyway, what I wish I knew before retiring. Is there anything that I really wish I knew? Or did I figure it out from watching other people who had good videos out? And maybe I did. Maybe I learned all that I could learn. But anyway, welcome to Buzz's Garage, Buzz's Retirement Garage, where we talk about life after the paycheck stops. And yes, I'm reading notes. Anyway, time isn't what you think. That's kind of one of them. So when you retire, and if you have not retired yet, these are 3 things that just keep in the back of your mind. You'll hear this from many other people too, but we're going to reinforce it, reiterate it, so to speak. But yeah, time isn't what you think, and have a plan for your time. So the minute you're out of work, the minute you're retired, the minute you're relaxed from not having to go to work, you got to fill your time. And most people, I think, most people can figure that out, how to do that, how to fill their time, how to get things done, how to, figure out what I'm going to do in the day. But there are some people who, and some of my comments, where they struggle with that. They really do. Whether it's because of physical limitations or because they just don't really think sort of outside the box, as they say. And they don't think about the opportunities that are out there because, one, maybe they don't have enough cash. They don't like nature. They don't like to go out there and put a worm on a hook and go casting or something. And that's fine. But you do have to find something that you're going to want to do in retirement. Otherwise, you will be bored. So, I've said it 1,000 times, you have the blank canvas. But if you don't know how to paint, you don't know how to draw, you can't even pick up a crayon, well, yeah, you're going to struggle with that. So think about that before retiring. And there are people who, I know, there's one guy, he didn't want to be home for a couple of different reasons, but and he just wanted to continue working. And he worked till 70, I think he was 72 when he finally retired. So yeah, there are people out there that can't even envision retiring because they don't want to be home because they don't think they can find something to do. And there are those people out there. So before you retire, make sure that you can think of some things that will take up your time. Whether it be shopping or doing things around the house like me, volunteering like I'm doing too. And, that helped me. The volunteering helped me to get out of the house, get out to get exercise. So that was a great thing at the animal shelter. The walks that I give the dogs, we do about 400 yards every dog, and I do 4 dogs. Normally about 4 dogs every Monday. So that's quite a long distance. The second thing is spending feels different. You hear this all the time from people. When you retire, now, before you retire, money was kind of like, okay, you're getting this paycheck coming in, and you want to go out, you want to go eat, you want to go to the concert, and concert tickets are crazy high anymore. But you want to go do stuff. You want to go see a ball game, you want to whatever, and you have the money to do it. And now, once you've retired, it's like, okay, there's no more paycheck. Maybe you got a pension coming in, maybe you got your Social Security, maybe you're taking out of your 401k or cashing out some of your CDs or whatever you're doing to keep yourself afloat. But every time you cash out that CD or you take out of the stock market or you cash that pension check, um, and you start to see the the bank account dwindle maybe a little bit if you're spending above your means, then yeah, that could be a little strange. It definitely feels strange, and it's felt strange for me too. My attitude has been, do we really need that? Now, before it was like, okay, get it. If you need it, get it. Especially when the kids are growing up, it's like, hey, if you guys need this, you need school supplies, you need school clothes, whatever you guys need, we're going to take care of it. I didn't have that luxury when I was growing up. We had a lot of hand-me-downs and a lot of clothes that I would never be caught dead in today. But and my wardrobe's not exactly top-notch. But back then, yeah, that's tough. And today, now that I've retired, I do find myself trying to pinch pennies, trying to make sure that, not crazily, because there's a lot of people that can pinch pennies like they're experts at it. I'm not an expert at it by any means, but I have tried to look at every expenditure, as you guys know, on my Social Security board. Every expenditure that we have, we document, and we need to and understand why we're spending that money. So if you got billions of dollars, millions of dollars, yeah, it's nothing to worry about. But if you don't, you're like most people that, you're going to have to be a little frugal, and that spending that money after retirement is definitely going to feel different. And the emotional side is real. So yes, the emotional side, once I was actually a plant manager in a small company. My last 16 years, 3 years I was production manager, and then the last 16 or 17, somewhere in there, I was the plant manager. Now, being a small company, it meant that, I had to do the OSHA stuff, I had to do some HR stuff, personnel stuff. I worked with the union. We had a great union there, UAW. They were good people. We had great crew. I really enjoyed working with the people that we had. We had a lot of old timers, I would say, that were there a long time. And when you have people that stay for a long time, you're running a pretty good business. And of course, I reported to the owners who were on site every day. So decision making was fairly easy, but a lot of decisions were made on a daily basis. And, the phone calls, the emails, phone calls I would get from third shift. Occasionally, the 2 a.m. call, say this happened, or what do you want to do with this? And, it was stressful, and but it was my job. Then, once I retired, I didn't have to answer the emails. I didn't have to answer the phone. I didn't have to, report to my ownership. I didn't have to listen to the issues of the day. I didn't have to try to solve problems. At first, it was like, wow, great. Whew, I'm done with that. Oh man, is that nice. But then after a while, after a couple weeks, it's like, hey, don't they need anything? Aren't they calling me? They're not calling me. Why? Everything's just so easy now for them. I mean, shouldn't they be talking to me? Shouldn't they be calling? Shouldn't they be asking advice? Like, what would I do? No, they didn't. And it happens a lot where the next person takes over or the next group of people take over and they do it their way. They may look at your notes or they may look at your files or your computer files or whatever you had documented, but they're weird about trying to call you. They want you to enjoy your retirement on one hand. They also they don't want to sit back and go, hey, we can't do without this person. I always used to say when I was there, and when we used to get in arguments or something, and one of the employees would say, well, I'm going to go home. And and I would say, hey, person, whoever they were, I said, this place started in 1953, long before we got here, and they'll be here long before we're gone. So, you and me, and I would always include both of us. And I would say, if you and me leaving today, it's not going to affect this company. And it's true. You know, when I left, it there was not an issue with them carrying on, and that's the way life is. And the point being is that now all of that stuff you used to do, all of that stressful stuff, you don't have to do, but you kind of feel, wow, like nobody needs me. Nobody cares about me anymore. And so that's an emotional side of it is, you know, you did it for so long, year after year after year after year. You solved so many problems, you did so many things, and then it's done. And it's strange. That's a strange feeling. And like I said, the first couple of weeks, it's like, God, thank you. You know, we appreciate not having to deal with that anymore. But then again, it gets a little, like, well, hey, how come they're not calling me? But that goes away eventually, and you start to get into a different rhythm, not even thinking about it. Now, I'm 2 years retired last month. And I really don't think too much about them, the last company. And of course, the company before, 19 years ago, I have no contact. This past company, I still have some contact, but very, very little contact. And it's going to be less and less as time goes on. And I'm okay with that. But there isn't an emotional side. So those are the three things. I guess those are the three things that what I wish I knew before retiring. I knew them, but I didn't feel them the way I feel them after I retired. You can't know how you're going to feel or how time is going to be or how the money situation is going to be until you actually get into retirement. So get ready for that. Think about those things, and we'll catch you next time. Buzz's Retirement Garage.